So, on the International Day of Parliaments, or parliamentarism as it is called, what would the world be without parliament in Nigeria and globally?
Thank you very much for that question. The world will be chaotic. There will be anarchy, there will be autocracy instead of democracy, and there will also be a world where the views of people are suppressed or oppressed. Parliament or the legislature is all about voices, people being elected to represent the vast majority. And so constituencies are delineated by government, which in this case of Nigeria is INEC, has been delineated, and then those constituencies have members who represent them or who advocate for them, who speak on their behalf. They make laws, they approve budgets, estimates, they deliberate on very important issues that come up in the country. They also play various roles like oversight. They check on the executive to make sure that the executive are working in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in the case of Nigeria. We have a constitution that is supreme, it's above every other person. The rule of law in this country is supreme, and there's fundamental human rights that is accrued to every Nigerian. And so we make sure that those fundamental human rights, as provided for in the Constitution, are implemented and observed, and that Nigerians derive the benefits of good governance, clean water, energy, food security, healthcare, education, name it, business, whatever it is. So our job is to ensure that we have good governance for the well-being of Nigerians. The role of Parliament is described in the Constitution very clearly. We're to make laws for the good governance and progress, peace and well-being of Nigeria, and that is what we do.
And talking about the theme for this Day, International Day of Parliament, it says Parliament for the Planet, reminding legislators of their role in driving their actions against climate change and the climate change emergency. How prepared would you say is our legislature in driving?
Well, Nigeria as a country, I would say we're not very well prepared as a nation. If you look at the indices, and the research has shown that Nigeria is one of the countries at risk, and we feel it. We have issues of flooding, we have issues of shorter rainfall and heavier rainfalls, we have issues of desertification, we have issues of the thinning of our lakes and rivers. We have serious climate change issues. We have issues of, energy issues. For instance, people use firewood, forest, the destructions of our forests, which keeps climate change in check, keeps the weather in check. So we have a lot of issues that we are yet to deal with as a government. It's not just the role of the legislature, but it's both the executive needs to have very serious policies deliberate policies on climate change. And I'm afraid we haven't seen much of that. But I'm sure in the 10th Parliament, we will increase Nigeria's capacity to utilize renewable energy, which is one of the solutions, so that we move away from relying on fossil fuels and destructions of our forests. We also have to go into afforestation and so many issues. I'm sure in the 10th Assembly, the parliamentarians coming here are very knowledgeable, and that's one of the issues that we will table from the legislative agenda.
Okay, so we have the Climate Change Act, but then, like you said, implementation, and that's where the legislature comes in terms of oversight. So what more would we see in this regard?
Well, we do have we're keyed into an international parliamentary network, most of us. I'm one of the members of the International Parliamentary Network on Climate Change, where we try to ensure that the act is actually implemented in Nigeria. But yes, we do have to strengthen oversight with the relevant ministries and bodies. But this cannot just be the federal government alone. The state governments and the local governments must play a key role, because a huge part of the population resides in our local governments, our rural areas. Nigeria is a beautiful country, but when you go to so many rural areas and our cities, you find that the forests have been completely destroyed. And then farming activities have taken over, have affected our land and the soil negatively, and so on and so forth, grazing as well. So we do have to work. There has to be a synergy between the federal, state, and local governments to make this act, to implement this act.
Okay, and you talked about the fact that the issues are mostly at the local level, and that a lot hasn't been done. And there's this perception people have about parliamentarians, about legislators in Nigeria, that they are perhaps maybe an extension of the ruling elite or a part of the ruling class. How do you discountenance that against the backdrop that parliamentarians should represent the masses?
Well, parliamentarians are ordinary Nigerians who get voted by their communities because they have confidence that they can represent them effectively. They can speak up for them. They can change things and make Nigeria work again. You see, in the past elections, a lot of parties emerged. People that you would think ordinarily wouldn't be elected were elected. So it's all about the choice of Nigerians, and that's what elections are about. If Nigerians choose to elect the masses, which is where most Nigerians are turning to, then we'll see more changes. And all of us are masses. Nobody is privileged, because they all have to face an election. And if you don't represent them well when you're given an opportunity, they won't vote for you again. So the elitist concept is gradually fading away, just by the fact that, for instance, you have parties that are new. You have a lot of members. Some of them, we are told, were Okada riders, ordinary Nigerians. So anybody, an Okada rider, anyone can become a parliamentarian.
Okay, that's great. So, on the final note, what should Nigerians expect to resume plenary reconvene on July 4th? What should Nigerians expect from the 10th House of Representatives going forward?
Well, first of all, I think the National Assembly will begin to take shape. The 10th Assembly will begin to take shape. We'll hear the announcement of committees, and we will also see the determination of members to tackle issues that have not hitherto been tackled. We'll also look into some of the laws that are existing to see where we need amendments, issues that haven't been brought before us. A lot of us will raise some of those issues. For instance, some of the issues you're mentioning now, on how important it is for government to prioritize climate change, and so many other issues on the burner. And then, of course, we'll start working towards receiving the budget later in the year. So I think the 10th Assembly, you can expect that this time we will do more than we did before. We will aggressively pursue the legislative agenda for the 10th Assembly, and to ensure that we make good laws for the progress of Nigeria, and issues that are, for instance, the burning issues of minimum wage and so on and so forth. All of that will be reviewed, and much more.
Okay, so as one of those who benefit from the laws you make, I wish you luck.
Thank you very much. It's for the good of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.